Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Conscious Body Conversations. I'm Jessie Lucas of Embodied Movement Training, and today we have National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach, Kara Hodes-Wechsler of Kaleidoscope Healthways. Now, Kara and we had an interesting conversation last year where we realized this whole conversation about embodiment and what that means and using that, well, first of all, living it, and then second of all, using that professionally, we spoke the same language. So I'm so excited for you to hear from her today. She has an incredible story and she has incredible ways of using embodiment that are a little bit different than mine. So I hope you learn something from her. I'm not even going to go into further what embodiment means because I want you to share your story. Kara, thank you so much for being on our episode today. I'm excited to hear from you. I'm just going to turn it over to you.
Well, Jessie, thanks so much for having me. I am excited to share my story and hope that it has an impact with others and share how I'm learning and using some of that embodiment in my coaching practice. So I'll start with my story. And really, I was totally disembodied. I would say to people that at that time I would draw myself as a big head on a stick figure body, and really pushing the body for the achievements of the mind. And it was showing up, but I was ignoring it, right? So yeah, I had the shoulder pain. Yeah, I had the pain down the arm. But it was, keep going, fuel and go, fuel and go. I was working in a corporate environment. I had a leadership position, a very good position. And I was moving up the ladder, type of thing. And then I was introduced to a somatic practice that I really just did because I'm like, I got to do something to de-stress, right? I got to step away and do something to de-stress. Because it was a lot of all work all the time. And with that, I'll call it almost awakening. And it was kind of like, oh, oh, you're talking to me. Like, oh, I finally was like, oh, it has a voice down below the neck, right? It has a voice besides screaming in pain, right? It has a voice. And I guess I knew that from like, you have butterflies in your stomach and things like that. But really for it to tell me, what is this interaction all about? What is this place that I'm in and this experience that I'm having all about? So I continued that somatic practice. I continue that somatic practice for me personally to this day, continue to grow with it. And then I saw a somatic leadership course. So I was like, oh, got to go do this, let's go deeper. And again, impacted me as a leader tremendously. And at that point, some poor soul suggested that he thought it would be a very good idea if I meditated every morning. So when he gave me that idea, I gave him my idea back, which was not quite in alignment. But I took it home with me. And I stayed with it, and I started to take that time no matter what every morning. I started with it being my longest 3 minutes of the day, I used to call it, because I will sit for one, and I have little music in the background. I'll sit for that. But what ended up happening is I really started connecting to me every morning. Where was I? Was I tired? What was my tolerance level going to be like for the day? What was my patience level going to be like for the day? I was a leader of 8 to 10 people. How, I go in tired and cranky. Guess what? Everybody's going to be tired and cranky, right? So it started to give me the knowledge to know what I needed to put in my day, to show up as a better leader, to invest in myself, and to make me come to the table as a leader and a professional whole. And so then after, I as you know, I did leave corporate to start my own health and wellness coaching practice. And, for me, it's really important to bring and to help my clients become more aware and to really become in touch with what's going on below the neck and help that conversation happen.
Can I just pause right there for a second? Because I feel like a couple of brilliant things you just said. First of all, you started with the longest 3 minutes of your day. Now, when you look at the broad scope of your plans for the day, 3 minutes does not seem like a long time, but being a meditator myself, I know exactly what you mean. But what happened there, just that little crack, that little opening and I love that word you use, awakening. I know for myself in the embodied movement, I teach kind of the kinesthetic part of it. That's what happens is you connect up here above the neck with all of the wisdom down below. It's like this awakening, this illumination, this kind of lights on of all of this information that's available to you for you to then go use decisively in how you go about your day. So, I mean, that right there is incredible. And I think just for everybody watching, meditation can sometimes feel like this like woo, like weird esoteric thing. Like, what am I doing? Am I just sitting? Like, what's it going to do for me to sit for a few minutes? But if you really can be patient enough to reach that level of awakening, the availability of that information and what it can do, like it all of a sudden makes it a very practical thing. It all of a sudden makes it a very useful thing as far as how the rest of your day unfolds. And I think just in that short little bit of your story, you just exemplified that so simply and so beautifully. One of the things I'm realizing in these conversations is this theme of ease and accessibility. And what I want people to know is that these embodiment practices, this, connecting your head to your body thing, is really quite simple and accessible. And I think your story just exemplified that. So take us the next step further. So you've left corporate, you're in your coaching practice. I can only imagine the ease in your own body. You described some like physical pains and stuff. How are you doing now? And then how is that translating to the work that you do? Because I'm sure that's probably what people come to you for, is wanting that same kind of relief that you went through. Take us the next step.
Yeah. And you mentioned meditation, and and people have different definitions of what meditation or mindfulness or all that could be. I mean, simply connecting to your breath can be one of the most powerful, insightful things that we have if we just take a moment to listen. Really. And it's one of my favorites. It's really one of my favorites. Just stop and just listen to what your breath is doing and where it is in your body. That's always powerful. So I use a lot of the embodiment as I work, and my clients do say, a lot of my clients say, wow, working with you, I became so aware. And I do honestly believe that awareness is our best place to make choice from, right? And if we're going through behavior changes, lifestyle changes, it's my choice. You know what? And maybe someday I want to have that potato chip, and it's okay. And maybe some days I don't. And, but I'm making it cognitively. And that is what I think is so important, that I'm showing up whole and I'm making that for the better of my mind and body. So I work with my clients at the front end of every session. We do a mindfulness practice for the client. I primarily to become aware and present with me, so we can work together, connected. But also, I'll be honest, it helps me too, right? It helps me step away for a moment as we center together. And I think because it's such an important partnership, we take that moment in the front end to center together, to say this partnership is worth it. We're moving you forward. And so we're going to take a moment to honor that and to be present for each other. So that's one way I use embodiment in my practice. The other way is I use guided imagery to help people set a vision, right? So using guided imagery too, all the sensations, right? What if I'm somewhere, what am I seeing? What am I smelling? What am I feeling, right? That's waking up the whole to then be able to say, yeah, I really want to work towards that, right? That I want to work towards that vision of me, that feeling of me, that whole me, right? And really who I'm with, what I'm doing from that whole sensory way. And then, I also use embodiment for people to connect with their values. And if we're really making changes and want to make things sustainable changes, I got to want it. It's got to align with my values. It's got to sit right. And so, listening to the body, the breath, the whole thing. It's like, how does it make you feel? Are you warming up? Are you, we talk about butterflies. Well, butterflies can be good. That tells me I'm taking something serious enough that it's important to me, right? That's cool. Butterflies. I meet somebody new. Hey, I like that person. Butterflies. Here we come, right? And also, breath stuckness, right? How does that make me feel? Oh, that makes me tense, or my shoulders tense up. Like, what does that do to me? Maybe that's not the right choice for me, or a disalignment with values. So those are many ways that I kind of put it through the change process and thread using embodiment through the change process, because people will, and just what does it feel like to celebrate, right? I did a small step and I won. I got it. I did it. I'm doing it. It's awesome, right? How does that make me feel? I feel healthier, but also I feel empowered. I feel proud. All of those things help to motivate us to move forward.
Carol, what you just said was so brilliant, and I want to kind of compare that, what you just said, this connection of the butterflies, what does that mean? The sense of celebration, empowerment, what does that, and really connecting that all the way back to the very beginning of the story where you started by saying, I was so disembodied, and how different that is. And when there's that sense of congruence, that sense of the sensations my body is providing, whatever that is, that like jittery excitement, or that like heaviness in my heart, or the butterflies in my stomach, the congruence between that and your understanding and interpretation, and thus your mental decisions, when those things are congruent, oh my goodness, what alignment, what ease, what embodiment, versus what I think most of us, when we're stressed out, burnt out, walking around with, there is a disconnection. Those sensations are probably either still going on and we're just so cut off from noticing them, or they've almost like you said before, like the body like just screams, like it screams and kind of exhausts itself. I know I've seen that in some of my clients where those sensations happened and then they just kind of flatline. They just kind of
They're suppressed. They're suppressed. You just suppress them and you can ignore them, right?
Yep. Yep. And so when you can, I love that you said that your clients overall have this sense of like, I feel so much more aware, because I think the awareness is really that flashlight that connects those pieces, right? That connects the sensations in your body and gives you the space to understand them, to pay attention to them, to interpret them, and then make more choices with them. And I know one of my biggest values in life is making more choices, like having more choices in your life versus feeling like pigeonholed into some place that's not really aligned with your values in whatever category of your life that it is, and making better choices. I know for me, having freedom in my body, having that congruence between my body's sensations and my mind means that I can make better choices, means that I can listen to the still voice, listen to the whispers before they become screams. And so the choices I make are more aligned. And like breaking it down like that, it feels so simple. You just gotta like open up that space, know how to get in there, know how to sense the things, and then know what to do with them. I know there's so much more we could say about all of this. I do want to kind of keep this short and sweet and digestible. Can you give us something to hang on to, like either an aha thing that our viewers can take away, or a question you want them pondering, give us something to hold on to as we close out this conversation. And do please make sure you share with us where people can find you, and we will include Kara's information in the links with the video, her links with this video.
Yeah, I think personally growing with a connection to mind, body, and spirit is the most impactful thing we can do. And that brings all of us to the table. So that's my wise.
That's what's on deck. Yeah, I think that's what's on deck this year. That's one of my main goals with these conversations, is to open up all sorts of stories, all sorts of approaches, all sorts of avenues to take that level of growth, because I think, at any point, but especially right now after everything everybody's gone through in this past year, we've got to take that growth step. Where can we find you? Because I know you have some great, more wisdom, more than we can fit in this one conversation.
So you can find me at kara@kaleidoscopehealthways.com. Also, I'm on Facebook. There's a Facebook page for Kaleidoscope that I'm hoping to tend better to. And I'm also on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome.
But if anybody has any questions or wants to just chat otherwise, intrigued in the story, feel free to reach out.
I highly recommend it. I had a great conversation one-on-one with Kara a while ago. There's so much more to her story, so we'll include those links. Kara, thank you so much for having this conversation. And you guys, if you know me at all, I do the kind of kinesthetic part, the kinesthetic side of what Kara does. So that whole where are these sensations in your body? How do you unravel the body armor that's storing them? And how can you create conscious body practices, literally the functions, the movement of your body mechanics, and what do you do to start this awakening? So I always love nerding out and talking to folks about that. Feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to talk about that further. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode and tune into the next one. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Jess.